Hey, it's James here from GoodGuitarist.com, and today we have an absolute beginner guitar lesson for you guys. Now, if you already know a few chords and you know how to strum along with them, you're probably already beyond this. This lesson is for people who have just gotten their guitar and haven't even touched it yet. You know, this is an absolute beginner lesson, and we're going to show you the gist of playing guitar, just the fundamentals of playing rhythm guitar, because basically, it breaks down like this. You know some chord shapes that you play with your hand, with your chord hand. Usually it's your left hand if you're right-handed. And you switch between them in time. So say every 4 beats, 1, 2, 3, switch, 1, 2, 3, switch, and then back. So you switch between them in time with one hand, and then the other hand keeps the rhythm. So it just plays whatever strumming pattern feels like the song. And it gets kind of complicated. There's a lot more to it than that. But basically you play a strumming pattern that works while you change chords with your hand. So we're going to show you a really basic chord shape, and then we're going to show you how to move it to make another chord. And we're going to show you how to strum along with that. So let's get started. So the first chord we're going to play is E minor. Now to play that, first I'm going to take my index or my first finger, and I'm going to use it to count along the strings. We're starting at the thinnest string. That's the first string. So we're on the first string. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We want to be on the 5th string. And then we're going to be on the 2nd fret. So there's that piece of plastic there. That's called the nut. It could be made out of bone, plastic, carbon. There's a bunch of different materials. That's 0. We call it 0. If you just play the 5th string, 0. This is 1. So see this box right here? There's the metal fret. We're going to put our finger right there. We get the 1st fret. Put our finger 1 more. That's the 2nd fret. So we're on the 5th string. 1, 2, 3, 4. The 5th string. And we're on the 2nd fret. 1, 2. And we want to press it just beside the metal part. So we don't want to be over it. It's too muted. There you go. That's nice and clear. If you're too far this way, it takes too much pressure. It gets buzzy. There we go. That's the perfect spot. So we have our first finger on the 2nd fret of the 5th string. Next, we're going to take our middle finger, or our 2nd finger here, and we're going to put it just underneath that first finger. So let's figure out what fret we're on and what string we're on. So we're on the 2nd fret because we put it just underneath, 2nd fret, and we're on the 1, 2, 3, 4th string. So here we are. We're on the 2nd fret of the 5th string and the 2nd fret of the 4th string. And that gives us an E minor chord. Now, you want to curl your fingers enough so that the bottom of this finger isn't accidentally touching the 3rd string. See, if I have lazy fingers and my fingers are kind of just kind of straight, it touches, like the underside of my fingers touch all these strings. So we want them to be nice and curled. We want our thumb to be on the back of the neck pointing upwards. You can see my thumb is just poking out like that. Right along the middle of the neck too, just along that part. You don't want it too low or too high. We want it just around the middle, right behind our fingers. We're gonna strum all 6 strings. It doesn't matter how you strum it. You can use your thumb, you can use a pick, you can use your fingers. Just run it over all the strings. Let's test it out. Let's make sure every single string is working. And we test it by plucking each string individually. Make sure none of them are buzzing. Make sure it's not like, curve those fingers. So if you need a closer look at this, or you need some more tips on troubleshooting this chord, we have an ebook that is free to all of our subscribers. There's a link down below, and that goes over all the chords you'll need. It goes over chord switching, it has a bunch of strumming patterns, chord progressions, song recommendations, a ton of stuff. basically built to get you from 0 to being able to play along with pretty much any song that uses the basic open chords, which is like thousands and thousands of songs. And it has a bunch of different angles, so you can really see this chord, really see what you're supposed to do with it. Anyways, moving on, we've tested out our E minor chord and we've made sure that every string is working. We know where to put our fingers. Now we're gonna switch to a different chord. And it's a really easy switch. We just take our 2 fingers and we just move everything that way, 1 string. And that's it. So pretty much the same shape. This is what we had before. We were on the 5th string and the 4th string. Well, now our fingers are on the 4th string and the 3rd string. And the only difference is, aside from moving that over, is with our other hand, we're not going to be able to hit all the strings. We only want to hit 5 strings. So we're not going to hit the lowest string. If you accidentally hit it, no big deal. It kind of sounds good with this chord. Just sounds a bit better without it. A bit clearer. So those are the 2 chord shapes. We have E minor, and then we moved everything over, and we're only strumming the top 5 strings, and we get A sus 2. So take a moment and pause the tape if you need to, and just work on that switch. Just work on going from one chord to the next. Don't worry about counting or anything like that. We just want to get your fingers moving. You want to keep the 2 fingers together as they move. Don't let them kind of fall apart. And you want to focus on whether you're strumming all the strings for the E minor chord or just 5 strings for the A sus2 chord. And when you're ready, we can practice switching in time. Now, to practice switching in time, we're going to play the chord switching game. And basically, all you do is you strum the chord on beat 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you strum the next chord on the next beat 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. And you have all that time after beat 1 and before the next chord to switch. So 1, and then you have 2, 3, 4. You have all that time to change chords. 1, switch, switch, switch. 1, switch, switch, back. 1, switch to A sus2. 1, switch back to E minor. So let's try it together. I'm going to count us in really slowly to give you lots of time to switch. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. E minor, switch. A, switch. So make sure that you're pressing with the very tips of your fingers, and try your best to not touch any strings except the ones you're aiming for. Cool. So now that we've practiced playing the chord on beat 1 and then switching on beats 2, 3, and 4, we're going to make it a tiny bit harder, and we're going to play on beats 1 and 2, and that only gives us beats 3 and 4 to switch on. It'll look something like this. 1, 2, switch, switch. 1, 2, switch, back. 1, 2, switch, switch. 1, 2, switch, back. So make sure that you strum it on beats 1 and 2, and then switch on beats 3 and 4. Let's go for it. 1, 2, 3, 4. E minor, switch, switch. A sus2, switch, switch. So the most important thing here is landing right on beat 1. So even if you have to leave the chord a bit early, it's fine as long as you land the next chord right on beat 1. Nice. Now that we can play it on beats 1 and 2, and we're switching on 3 and 4, the next challenge is to play it on beats 1, 2, and 3, and that only gives us beat 4 to switch on. And then we're going to finish there. So let's try this out. 1, 2, 3, 4. One, two, three, switch. 1, 2, 3, switch. If this gets a bit messy, don't worry, just back up the tape and try the previous exercise, or even the one before that. You can't expect instant results. You're gonna have to work on it a bit if you really want to pull this off. So before we go, there's one more thing I want to show you that'll just help you turn these 2 chord shapes into 2 more chord shapes. We're going to take what we already know, our E minor chord, and we're going to add our other 2 fingers to it. And it's still going to be an E minor chord. That's what's so cool about guitar. There's so many ways to play every different chord. Kind of makes it a bit difficult sometimes too, but it adds so much color to it. And one person can play E minor this way, another person plays E minor this way, and that's what makes them play entirely different kinds of music from one another. And it's what makes it such a versatile and popular instrument. Anyways, so we take our E minor chord, and then we're going to add our 3rd finger to the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. So 1st string, 2nd string, up at the 1, 2, 3rd fret, and then we're going to take our 4th finger, and put it just above it, and that's on the 3rd fret of the 1st string. 1, 2, 3. So they're both on the 3rd fret of the top 2 strings, and then our other fingers are where they are on the E minor chord. And let's just hear what this one sounds like. Cool. And now we're gonna leave these 2 fingers where they are, and we're just gonna switch these to the A. So these 2 fingers are doing exactly what they were doing before, and these 2 fingers are just going to stay put the whole time. That gives us E minor and A7 sus 4. So it's a bit of a different chord name. It's an A7 sus 4, totally different than A sus 2. And it fills a different role. So let's just hear what these 2 sound like. So that was our absolute beginner guitar lesson. We showed you a couple different chord shapes and a variation on those chord shapes. So that should keep you going for quite a while. The next logical step now would be to learn some strumming patterns. And for that, I recommend checking out our ebook. It's available on our website. There's a link down below, and it's free to all of our subscribers. And that goes from the most basic strumming pattern, just all downstrokes, to the most popular strumming pattern that you'll find in thousands of songs. It's the most common strumming pattern out there. So I hope that this lesson was helpful, and if you found it helpful, I'd be super grateful if you took the time to share it with your friends, subscribe to my channel, check out our Facebook, facebook.com/goodguitarist, or visit our website and get our ebook. I'd be super grateful if you took part in all of the resources and all the lesson stuff that we're doing. And other than that, I hope you have a good time learning how to play guitar. We'll see you next time.